So, hi Max, thank you so much for joining me today for an interview about New College. Would you mind just introducing yourself before we start, like what subject you study, what year you're in, those kinds of things?
Uh, uh, I'm Max. I'm a historian at New College. I've just finished first year, and yeah, it's been great. I've enjoyed it a lot, and I'm going to tell you all about it apparently. So that's okay.
So, from my experience at Oxford, most people kind of see each college having its own identity, kind of that separates it from other colleges. Maybe I don't know, like a unique characteristic or something like that. Potentially just a stereotype, but what would you say um, that is for New College?
um, I think people from New College would say that the unique characteristic of the college is um, embodied in the motto, which is the only motto from the college which is in English, which is a famous motto called "Manners maketh man." And um, I think a lot of the college's identity is bound up in that. I think that, and that may or may not be true, but there's certainly something about it. Is there's New College likes to think of itself as distinctive, um, and all colleges, Oxford colleges, like to think of themselves as distinctive. But there are some things which make New College quite special. It's old, even by the standard of most Oxford colleges, and it's quite big, and it has this huge city wall around it, which is which is I guess one of those things which makes it sort of a bit foreboding at first, perhaps a little bit intimidating, but really you're inside the wall, so it's not that intimidating. It's only intimidating from the outside, and I think it's not as scary as it seems.
And people are friendly. How did you find Freshers Week at?
Um, when I moved in, I had my parents came and we took the dog, and the uh, and Tiger was being extremely annoying, and everyone was really nice about him just because he looks cute. And my next door neighbour helped move in my boxes, and everyone was incredibly friendly. And even though Tiger was squeaking and barking, it was really good. And yeah, no, it was nice. And ever since, really, um, people are friendly, and because everyone in first year lives in basically the same place, you do bump into people you know all the time, and it's quite nice just to be wandering around, bump into someone. I remember it took me and my friend um, an hour to get back from a shoot to walk 50 meters, because every time we would walk a little bit further, someone else would come and then we'd have a conversation, and we were just trying to avoid doing any work. So we just stand there and have a chat. And that was good. And it is a friendly college. So yeah.
And can you tell me a bit more about how accommodation at New works in your first year?
Um, so first year accommodation at New College is, for the most part, really good. Um, I think it's something like 90% of first year rooms have en suites. The rooms are mostly in a place called New Buildings, which was designed by Gilbert Scott and is very nice. It's sort of quite old-fashioned on the outside, but it's reasonably modern on the inside. There are some exceptions to this. There's a place called Cottages, which is where the unlucky 10% might go, and those rooms are not good. But it's not such a bad thing, because if you're in a room in Cottages, you're guaranteed to have a really good room in second year.
Oh, so
Um,
they reverse it.
they reversed the ballot, and there's only 2 years of accommodation in New College, um, and they're building third year accommodation, um, but it's going to take forever, and realistically, no one knows when it'll be finished. So um, Yeah, but it's for the accommodation they give you. It's really good. It's a bit of a shame they chuck you out in third year, but there you go. What can you do?
So what do you do in third year?
I think the answer is most people live in Cowley, which is a bit like living in college because you're all together and you're in a row of houses, except it's much nastier and 3 times as expensive. But yeah, that's what people do.
And in college, does everyone pay the same, and how much is that per term?
Everyone does pay the same. Everyone pays in first year. I think, well, this is probably going to change because of coronavirus, but £1,700, which includes dinner every evening, and the catering fee is compulsory in first year, and there's an incredibly complicated system for if you don't want to go to dinner, you can book off or book on, but the reality is it doesn't really save you very much money to book off. I think if you get you can like save £3 per meal if you book off. I assume you're going to ask me about the food, so I might as well get onto that topic.
Yeah. Tell me everything about the food.
Okay, so the food, which is the most important thing, is for the most part pretty good, in my opinion. Meals are served in hall, which some people will tell you is the oldest hall in Oxford. I think that might be a lie. It's quite nice though. It's big. It features in Mamma Mia 2. Lily James was there. It's pretty good. Mamma Mia 2, exactly. So that's all good. Yeah, so basically the food there's two meals. There's the early meal, which is served every day, and then there's the formal, which is served on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, and they cost the same, which is quite unusual. And early hall is a normal thing of bringing a tray to somewhere, and the food's pretty good. I think they haven't quite discovered things which aren't carbohydrates, but I don't know. Maybe that will change. That's what people complain about.
These are both in the evenings. Both.
Yeah, these are both in the evenings, and then yeah, sorry. So there's 2 evening meals. Then there's formal on Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, which is the 3-course meal. All you have to do is wear a gown. So you can wear a gown and a t-shirt and trousers, or a gown and your pajamas, or potentially a gown and nothing else if you wished. I don't know. Hasn't been done by me, but the sky's the limit. And people can bring their own wine or drinks if they like, and that food's pretty good too. It's not as good as some formals, but it is also basically the same price as early, so that's not too bad. And people do, unlike some other colleges, people do go to formal because it's essentially free for them, and it's good. So that's good. And then in terms of lunch and breakfast, they are just charged to your battles. I don't know anyone who goes to breakfast because it's between 8 and 9 and no one is awake, but apparently people do. And the best meal of the week is brunch, which happens on the weekends between 11 and 1, I think, if I remember rightly. And that is good because it is brunch. Everyone likes brunch.
If I told you you're going to new college brunch and you're allowed to spend £5, tell me what your meal would look like?
Ooh. Okay, so I think I can do this for £5. First thing, healthiness, orange juice. Got to get that in there. Then I'm a 1 sausage person at brunch, so 1 sausage. I'm also like a 2 bits of bacon person, and a hash brown, 2 if you're hungover, 3 if you're really hungover, 0 if you're really, really hungover and it's going to come back up again. There's because that is how it is. I would say the other thing I quite like going for, weirdly, is one of those fruit corner things at brunch. They're quite like
Like a yogurt.
the mullet. Yeah, I quite like that. That's what and obviously toast. I think that comes under £5 if I remember rightly. So it's not too bad. There are cheaper meals in this world, but there are not that many cheaper meals that you can eat in New College Hall. So I guess it's worth it.
Do you have a regular favourite lunch option? Is there something that comes up again and again?
You know what? I don't think so, but I'm about to tell you about ATS, which is something that anyone from New College will immediately tell you about.
Yeah.
So, my regular favourite lunch option comes from the sandwich shop opposite college on Holywell Street, which is called the Alternative Tuck Shop, if you read the sign, and ATS if you talk to anyone who's ever been there. And it's so popular that if you go at, say, 12:57 p.m, there'll be a queue of approximately 10 people. And if you go at 1:05 p.m, which is when the scientists get let out of their labs, there'll be a queue of 25 people. And
down Holywell Street.
all the way down Holywell Street, exactly. So timing is key. And my go-to there at the moment is a spicy chicken panini. But I dabbled in salmon and cream cheese bagels because they're cheaper, and also very good. And that's probably my staple lunch option. It's very unusual to find someone to be in that queue and not have someone from New College in the queue. And it's nice. It's somewhat a social thing, and you see people from other colleges there as well. And until New College buys ATS, which is obviously the next step in expanding the empire, it's gonna be good. So yeah, that would be my go-to lunch.
And how much would that spicy chicken cost you?
Spicy chicken probably costs if you put avocados in, I think it probably costs £4 something, £4.40. I don't know. And I do remember the salmon bagel is £3.25.
Yeah,
absolutely key.
Really good.
The bagel's really good. I don't know if you've ever eaten a salmon and cream cheese bagel on your way to the bod because you've got 4 hours to write a history essay, but that is the time. Yeah.
About formal, what kind of food? Can you remember a menu that you've eaten at that formal?
Yeah. So there's basically I'd say it's pretty good food. They have a weird obsession with goat's cheese, which is not to be commended, but everything else is good. So normally the sort of thing they would do is a starter of some kind of salady thing, like maybe with a bit of like a sort of ham salady kind of thing, and then a main course. So if they were doing something like sort of vaguely Italian, they might do. This is what I remember. So you have like something like bruschetta for starters, and then they would do normally something relatively sort of solid for mains. Like they do a very good Sunday roast thing. If you were doing something Italian, they'd probably verge more towards the sort of pasta with sauce end of the Italian food spectrum. And then something like creme brulee or things in pots for desserts. And it's good. And people take wine and get horrendously drunk. And and very New College thing is the wine cellar.
Yeah, tell me about the wine cellar.
which is so there's underneath one of the buildings in Garden Quad there is a wine cellar, which is for the use of the JCR. And what you do is you go down there and you buy wine at a sort of subsidised rate, and also more convenient than Tesco's. And the wine stewards, who are members of the JCR, will help you out deciding what you want and trying to sell you expensive things. And you'll be like, no, I want the cheapest one. And they'll be like, okay, fair enough. And that's kind of a weird thing that New College has, which I think is quite unusual, quite on brand, arguably. Obviously, it's not compulsory. It's not like we're not one of those colleges where it's compulsory to buy the college's wine. But so some people, just bring their Echo Falls or their McGuigan Estate and get involved. But there's it's sort of quite nice. It's quite a nice thing to do. It's a bit special. So I think that's a nice thing.
Is it college's own wine, or do they buy it in from?
No, it's the wine stewards just buy wine and then sell it to you a bit cheaper than if you were buying it yourself. And they have a very wide selection. I mean, the wine steward, sort of his job is to, and his and her jobs actually last year is just to try and find some interesting things that people will probably buy. And yeah, it's if you're looking for JCR positions, that's not a bad one because you get free wine. So just considering that, yeah.
What's the bar like at New College?
The bar at New College is quite modern. It's on the expensive side, I think. Yeah, it is. It's on the expensive side. I wish I could remember the prices of anything. You're probably looking at £2 something for a pint of Pravha. It's in a slightly awkward place because it's next to the wall of the hall, so it's a bit corridory, I would say. And there's basically two sections: the bit where they actually got the bar, and then there's a bit sort of down the stairs, which is separate. And it's a weird contrast because the bit with the bar in is very modern and has just been built on recently, and then the bit downstairs is like one of the oldest parts of college. But it's quite nice. It has a decent atmosphere, I would say. And during the day, it functions as a cafe, which is quite good at. And people do sit there and work as if they were working in Pret. And it's a good cafe actually as well. And I think possibly a slightly less good bar as a result. But yeah, it does the job. And people do go there. And it before bops or before going out to other places or before formal or whatever, people spend some time in the bar, and it's quite nice.
What does the cafe sell?
Oh, stuff. So I think teas, coffees, sort of toasted sandwiches that you can put in a toaster and then they'll be cooked. Muffins, stuff. Basically, imagine Pret, but inside college and significantly cheaper.
Can you cook your own food at New?
In first year, not really. The staircases that most people don't have kitchens, so everyone goes to. I think there are one or two kitchens dotted about, but people don't really cook their own food in first year. Also, because of the building's historic nature, if you have a toasty machine, you have to hide it. But as long as you have an agreement with your scouts.
What cooking appliances are you allowed in your room?
Kettle, pretty much. As I say, you have to if you're going to have anything else, you have to make sure your scout won't tell the porters, or you have to hide it. But mostly, your scout won't tell the porters, so it's fine. a lot of people do have illicit toasty machines. Just don't set off the smoke alarm, because that's really annoying. Yeah, I'd say so. It's not the options for cooking in first year aren't very good. In second year, it's different, but this year, because of coronavirus, I don't know. It could be quite. I think they're going to close all the kitchens anyway. I'm sure the same's happening to you. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. Actually, no.
Um,
Sure. I think because we don't have en suites, so we're already sharing bathrooms with people. I think they think that it doesn't make too much difference to share a kitchen.
Okay, right, yeah.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying you don't really go to breakfast? Do you just make cereal or something in your room?
Well, if you wake up late enough, lunch and breakfast can be the same meal. So that's the key. Yeah, I don't like. I use my next door neighbour's toaster sometimes. He has one. It's yeah, I cereal, just random bits of fruit. To be honest, like the historian's life, as you know, is generally a late rising one, so it's not really a problem. Yeah.
Are you allowed a fridge in your room?
Yes, all the rooms have fridges included. Actually, yeah, that's worth mentioning. Some of them are better than others. For example, some of them don't work, but you could just, if they don't work, ask the porters for a new fridge. They'll get you one. And some of the fridges are bigger than others, but realistically, all you need space for is a lot of chocolate and a lot of wine. So, what else do you need? A bit of fruit, I suppose. But yeah, that's that. It does the job. It's fine.
What's the GCR like at Newport?
Well, they're refurbishing it, so everything I'm about to tell you is going to be wrong. But anyway, I'll tell you it anyway. The JCR is on the ground floor in Garden Court. It's people do use it, and not just for being sickened, so that's good. There's a pool table, and I'm not sure what I'll say, a table tennis table, and some sort of big leather sofas, which they want to get rid of and replace with smarter leather sofas, which I think is a shame. And there's a TV for people to watch things they like to watch on TV there. And it's sort of there is a kitchen in the JCR actually. I don't know if you'd actually want to cook anything there. People don't in any case. But it's not a bad room. I think generally people would prefer to be in the college bar than in the JCR, because during the day the college bar is like a cafe anyway. But yeah, it's not so bad. And in terms of the actual committee, we have a president called Izzy at the moment, and a vice president for operations and finance, and a vice president for communications, welfare, and equality, which is not very catchy. And there are lots of other positions, all the normal ones. I suppose the unusual position is probably the mint julep quarter person, who is in charge of providing mint julep, which is drink, which is a New College tradition, which comes from when some American businessmen, I wish I knew this story properly, some American businessmen came to the New College bar, and although he could obviously order all the port that he wanted, couldn't order a mint julep, which is a horrible drink made of bourbon and mint and sugar. So he gave us a recipe for mint julep. And ever since, there's a mint julep day, which is the 1st of June, and we make mint julep, and the mint julep quarter person is in charge of organising the mint julep making. And as I say, it is a profoundly horrible drink. So that's quite a good position, because you don't have to do anything. And all the kind of usual things like we have an environment and ethics rep, an ethnic minorities rep, the welfare reps, and so on and so forth. So yeah.
What are the JCR meetings like? Have you not been? Not a big.
I have been. You can get back to me next term because I've been invited to be JCR chair, but I have never been to a meeting. There's free pizza. I don't know what happens apart from that. I didn't even go to the virtual ones. Kind of embarrassing, to be honest. Have you ever been to a JCR meeting? Surely not.
Yeah, we have them every other Saturday night, and there's free pizza, and you get a free drink from the bar. So.
Oh, that's the key. That's the clincher. We don't have that.
Yeah, because we hold them in the bar, so.
You see, Sunday 3 p.m. It's actually it was at the bottom of my staircase, and I've never been. But Sunday at 3 p.m. I've got other things to do.
Yeah.
There are essays to write. I'm sorry, it's just not going to happen. So yeah, I never went, unfortunately. Anyway.
What are the gardens and outdoor spaces like at New?
Fucking massive. The gardens at New College are lovely and big. There's even a garden committee and a garden fellow, who instantly writes the FT Weekend's gardening column. Probably won't leave that in the video, but and who also, this is interesting gossip for you, watches pornography in the classics library.
Wow.
He's like 60 or maybe 70. Kind of interesting vibes. Anyway, just shows that classics is not entirely for normal people. In case you hadn't realised that already. Yeah, funny guy. Anyway, the gardens. I'll start again. The gardens at New College are very good. Are very lovely. There's even the garden quad, which looks out on the main bit of garden, which is enclosed by the city wall. There's large lawns that people lie on in the summer, and there's even the most distinctive feature of the garden is probably the mound, which is a mound with steps up to it, and you go out, and it's quite tall. It's probably about 3 or 4 stories tall, and you can walk up onto the top of the mound and have a moderately disappointing view of some trees. And but it is a nice place just to sit and feel higher up than the rest of Oxford. And there are croquet lawns as well, for croquet in Trinity term, and it's a really wonderful place to be. And they put a lot of effort into the garden. And there's also the cloisters, which have a lovely bit of garden, which is where something in Harry Potter was filmed. I wish I could remember, next to a tree. I think it's Draco Malfoy getting turned into a frog or something. Tourists come to look at it. Yeah. So, and that's quite a good place to be. It's very quiet because the cloisters don't go anywhere. And it's a nice place to be. Oh, and the other good New College perk of outdoor space is the bell tower, which has been converted into a library, into like an archive in the middle floors. But as a student, you can go up to the top of the bell tower, which is entirely unrestored, really, and look out over Oxford and get good views. Probably the best views in Oxford you don't have to pay for.
Pretty good.
So, and you can bring your family up if they're all that way inclined. So that's a nice thing, actually. And you have views all over the Radcliffe Camera and the Bodleian Library and all of that. So yeah.
Last year, what was your favourite social event that New College organised?
Probably has to be bops, doesn't it? The New College bops.
Work at New College.
So there's no space for bops in college, which is a euphemism for saying that when there were bops in college, something bad happened. So ever since bops have been outside of college, and the college will rent a club, usually Fever or Plush. Plush is better, to have a bop in, and all members of New College get free entry with their bod card, and you can take guests if you like. And there are themes always. Some of the themes are better than others. Good themes include M&S or S&M. bad themes include sport. So people do usually make some effort, depending on how good the theme is, to dress up. And yes, it basically just people do prees in the bar or wherever and go to Fever and have a tremendous / horrible time, and it's good, and it's nice to everyone does go, and it's those are good, and there's happens 3 times a term because they happen outside college, and people do generally enjoy them, so that's a good thing.
And what welfare systems does New College have?
Oh God. So there's well, in terms of welfare systems, there's a system of peer supporters who are trained to do peer supporting. And there's 2 of those people tend to be the welfare reps who coordinate welfare. There's also 2 fellows who are specifically trained for welfare purposes, called the Cox and Salverson Fellows, and you can go and see them. That's what they're sort of around to do, as well as teach their subjects. There's also, of course, specific officers like ethnic minority officers and LGBT officer, and the welfare reps that are supposed to be that help out with any issues. And I mean, ultimately, there's even higher members of the college hierarchy if you want to talk to them. Sort of, there's the academic registrar or something called Freya. She's also trained in welfare matters. I think in general, obviously, there's the college family system, which all colleges have. Some, like, if you want to talk to your college parents about things, I've talked to mine about things, because obviously they've done it before, so they know lots of things that you just don't know. And that's very, very normal. But I think in general, people get along quite well, and the best welfare system is one that isn't really a system and is just being friends with people. And most people don't have to go to sort of formal welfare reps or whatever. And yeah, other than the college nurse is completely useless. You might want to cut that, but she is useless. She's completely unbelievable. Anyway, yes, that is the college welfare system, essentially.
Kind of well-being events.
Oh yes, so there's the best one of those is pottery brunch in 5th week.
Okay.
And they do a special program of events in 5th week to counter the 5th week blues. But I don't think the 5th week blues exists. I think it's the 6th week sads, but apparently not. So pottery brunch is where you get pots, you get brunch, you paint the pots. Everyone is happy then. And that's very good. They have dogs, welfare dogs come in, and you go to the long room and there are dogs and everyone is happy because there are dogs, and the dogs are happy because there are humans being nice to the dogs. There's also the warden's dog, who improbably enough is called something like Ridley's, is always around if you want some more welfare dogness. And they do a whole series of events, like there's also JCRT every week, which is they go and buy a bunch of stuff from Tesco's and people eat and stand around while they eat, procrastinating from their side. Maybe that's just me, I don't know. And those kind of events, I think in general, it's quite a good provision of things, and our welfare reps tend to be the nicest people on the planet, so that's always good.
Are you involved in any college extracurricular stuff like societies or sports or music?
Sport, obviously not. in terms of societies, there's a New College Debating Society, which I did a speech at, which probably does 2 events a term, roughly. And the people go, there's free wine. They hear people like me pontificate. It's all right. And then there's something called New College Essay Society, which is not that dissimilar, which is about it's a sort of that's a more august thing, which has been running since Victorian times, which is where you get an external speaker and 2 members of the JCR, and they speak about a certain topic. And it's not so much a debate, but more of a sort of like a lecture, which is kind of interesting, because it's not something you really hear anymore. So that's good. In terms of other things that people are involved in, there's a New College Music Society, which basically gives money for people to do musical things, and organises concerts in the chapel. There's a New College Drama Society, which exists. I don't know what it does. I don't think it does anything at the moment, but the person who's just taken it over is the kind of person who likes to do things. So I'm sure that will become a more active thing. I'm just trying to think of other. In terms of sports, New College is kind of fiercely and unjustifiably competitive. We were incredibly competitive about football cuppers, which then became Football Hassan's Cup because we're terrible. And side note: if you haven't heard Alex Fleming-Brown shouting at Anya's boyfriend, on the side of a football pitch, Anya's boyfriend, you look like a dog, because he doesn't know his name. That was interesting. He was just shouting abuse at the Jesus supporters. I don't know why. With a megaphone. It's kind of on brand for Flambeau, to be honest. Standing on a thing and shouting abuse through a megaphone. There's I actually thinking of him. There's New College has a satirical newspaper called The Phoenix, which is written by students for students about students, and is basically is just supposed to satirise the college and the JCR committee in particular, almost always in a good-natured way, and it's quite funny. It's a bit of an institution, and they print out lots of copies and sort of drop them in people's pigeons when it comes out, and that's nice. Something to get excited for, I suppose. It's the kind of thing where people pretend that they don't want to be in it, but obviously want to be in it. So that's a good bit of a good New College institution, and although it's mostly written by English students, anyone can ask to contribute if they would like. So that's good. Trying to think more sporty things. New College Rugby, NCRFC is apparently good at rugby. I think we won cuppers at some point. And they have horrible brown outfits, which go quite nicely with the mud. So yeah, that's sort of it. I don't know.
And have you got a chapel at New College?
Have we got a chapel? Excuse me. We have a huge chapel. It's the chapel is very beautiful. It's very old. It was built at the foundation of the college in 1379. It's where New College Choir sings, which is basically every day, or was before coronavirus. Probably the best choir in Oxford, if you ask them. Probably not the best choir in Oxford if you ask anyone else. But they are very good. There are services that open to members of the public. Alexander Armstrong was a regular attender, weirdly enough. And there's a very strong choral tradition. And I think to be fair, most of the students don't go to the regular services, but a lot of students will go to the special ones, like choral services, candle mass. And the chapel is amazing and worth looking around, just even if there aren't people singing in it, to be honest. And yeah, it's a very beautiful space, and it's also, you go to the hall and you think, well, that's quite big. The chapel, it must be twice the size. It's huge, and it's well worth a visit. I like it there.
Does New College have a ball?
New College does have a ball, which will next be happening in 2021. No, maybe 2022. Yeah. It is incredibly expensive, but also good. I think it's the second most expensive ball, normally.
So like £250, something like that.
Probably £250. Yeah, basically, whatever Christchurch is, then knock off 20 quid, then you got New College, probably. Grim. But anyway.
Every 3 years, something like that.
Every 3 years, exactly. And obviously there are subsidies for people for whom ball tickets are too expensive. But most people are just going to get whacked with 250 quid, unfortunately. But apparently it's very good. I have never been to one, obviously, but yeah, we'll see.
Okay, I've got a couple more questions and then I think I'm done.
Okay.
Your experience of talking to people at other colleges and knowing people perhaps before coming to Oxford and their experience at a different college. You had to be at another college. Where would you be and why?
Malden, I like to. But no en-suites in Malden, just saying. Little known fact, Malden is huge. It has about 3 bathrooms in it. So you're not guaranteed an en-suite at any point in your time there. Just, which makes a difference. And also the hall is too small. And also there's a long-standing rivalry between New College and Malden. But yes, Malden probably.
Okay. And yeah, final question. What is your kind of singular most favourite thing about New College? And if you had to change one thing, what would it be?
I can tell you what I'd change.
Okay.
The library.
Right, why?
It's hotter than the centre of the earth in the library at all times in winter, especially downstairs. And because it's actually one of the oldest purpose-built libraries in Oxford, which was built in the 1930s, it looks like it was built to withstand a nuclear blast, and it probably could. And it's a very good library in lots of respects. Like, for example, it's nice in terms of like the ambiance. It's old enough to be sort of pleasant, but not old enough to mean that you can't just put your coffee cup down on things. It's quite friendly in that people go around and talk to each other. But because it's old, the heating is on all the time and cannot be turned off, including in summer, I hasten to add. And it's quite small, and also doesn't have any books in it, really. It doesn't have that many books. So, as a historian, that's obviously quite traumatic. I think that's the one. I would change that, and they're thinking about what they can do, but realistically, for the next 5 years, the answer is nothing. So, there are other places to work if you don't like. I mean, I choose the library anyway because I like it. But there are other places to work if you don't like the library, such as there's something called the study room, which is much more modern. A lot of it's next to the college bar, and a lot of people like working there, particularly chemists, because realistically, if you're doing chemistry, you must hate every other aspect of your life. So they like being there. Yeah, I think what's the thing I like the most? I don't know, really. Can I say the people? No, I can't say the people, that's too cringy. What do people normally say?
Food tends to feature a lot.
Food. I mean,
What else?
formal is good. I enjoy formal. It's probably the thing I enjoy most. I like how you can just sort of sit down next to people who you might not have seen for a week or two and just go, hi, how you doing, blah, blah. And obviously, as you get slightly less sober, have a better and better conversation. Um, I like I like I like the fact that it's actually, although it seems like there's a lot of pomp and circumstance with dinner, it's not too bad. Like, you know, you don't have to dress up particularly apart from wearing your gown, and um, you know, it doesn't even have to be expensive because you can bring your own wine or choose not to. So it's quite a nice thing of just, it's quite a nice way of meeting with your friends if you wouldn't necessarily actually see them in the normal course for a week. People who don't, you know, people who do courses where their sub timetable is very different to you and they're not around when you are. And that's quite a nice thing. You can just sort of sit with different people every day. Well, I do it every other day at form. I think that's quite nice. I go to all of them without exception, unless I'm going to dinner somewhere else, which is unusual. But so that's probably one of my favourite things. And you know, I'm trying to think. I think actually one thing which is good is the gardens. There's nothing like a late night stroll if you haven't got any idea what you're writing for your essay, in my opinion, at least. And that's quite nice. The porters are really good. Unlike most porters, they are friendly. And very long suffering, I think it's fair to say. And I like they're always up for a chat and quite often up for free food if you want to give them food from Hassan's. And people who have a particular habit of getting extremely drunk have become quite good friends with the porters a lot, particularly someone called Alice who collects traffic cones and dumps them in the college, including one time where she put cones in every window of the library that she had stolen from around Oxford. And there was another time where the sign outside the Radcam, the metal sign saying she carried that into New College and put it outside the Porter's Lodge. So she's an interesting character. But anyway, that's the kind of thing that I like. I like the another thing I like about New College actually, which is also worth mentioning, is that quite a lot of people are quite quirky, and generally, everyone's very accepting because everyone's quite weird themselves, and that's a good thing. I like that.
Yeah, there's a space for everyone, kind of thing.
Exactly. I think so. I mean, maybe that's just my perception, but yeah, I think so.
Okay, well, thank you so much for asking to me about New College. I think it'll be very useful for anyone looking to apply there.
I'm sure you enjoyed it as much as I did. What can I tell you?